Murder and Suicide. One of Julie's main complaints dealt with her liver. She was scheduled to have an operation that was very dangerous and could possibly kill her. It had to do with a rear biliary duct scarring that caused bile to dump into her bowels. If the surgery didn't work, they had her on the list for a liver transplant. Julie had a long history of major surgeries and many physical complaints, especially her back. She was on many different types of medication because she was in so much pain. She was also being treated for depression by her psychiatrist and was taking more medication for that. Julie came off the cloud on a beach by the ocean. She was a 14-year-old native-type boy with black hair and chocolatey brown skin, walking along the beach holding the hand of a little boy that he knew was his brother. When I asked where he lived, he said it was no longer there. There had been a village up on the ridge, but it had been destroyed in a bad storm with heavy wind and water. He and his brother were not there when it happened, because they had been out gathering berries in the woods. When the storm hit, they hid underneath a fallen tree and a rock, and he tried to protect his little brother. I hit my head on a big branch of the tree. I waited for everything to stop, ate our berries. They didn't see what happened until they returned to the village. I can't find anybody. Where did everybody go? My Mommy. Everything was just flat and blown over. The storm was bad, but not so bad to do this. He was very emotional and upset and kept whispering, Mommy, over and over. I don't know what to do or where to go. I don't know where the others are. He became very emotional and was crying, so I decided to condense time and move ahead and see what happened. The white men got us. I knew white men were there, but they're bringing their god. The white man's god is taught in the village, but other white men have come to take us. I don't know where my mother is. Why would they want to take you and your brother? I don't know. I'm frustrated. Nobody will tell me. Do they take you somewhere? Yes. Many of us. I found my father. My brother is not here anymore. They took him. They beat my father, and my father's ashamed. Why is he ashamed? They killed my mother. Not the storm. Not the storm. She fought. My father is ashamed that he could not protect. He won't look at me. They were being held prisoner with many people in a place in a village with white men's guards. He described the men wearing belts with swords and leather boots. They disgusted him. They stink. As I moved him ahead to see what happened, his voice was filled with hatred and anger. They starve us, and they beat us, and then they want us to kneel to their god. I asked how their god was represented. This man, I hear them, that his name is Padre. He disgusts me. We have to bow before him and their wood cross. He said like it was a bad taste in his mouth. They say that the way to salvation is through the man on the cross, and that we are nothing more than animals. He had a distinct accent throughout his emotional recounting. They think we are animals. They beat us like animals. They gather us like animals. They kill us like animals. He was extremely upset and was crying as he said, I eat the root. I am going to kill myself. They will not. He said a boat was coming to take them away somewhere. The idea frightened him. I hear stories. They make us go, and then we die. And they say they own us, and that they own our land. You cannot own land. It's God's. We are God's people. He was so frightened he thought it was better to kill himself by eating the root which he knew was poisonous. And my stomach hurts. I removed any physical sensations so he could explain what was happening. I killed the Padre with the root. I tricked him to eat the root. He, like me, he touched me. I told him good yummy. He is like a jackal. He is strong and stinks, but I can kill him. He was proud that he had tricked the priest into eating the root. You didn't like this man, did you? No. He hurt me. He do to me what man not do to man. Very thick accent. He was not a man of God, not my God. His voice was filled with so much disgust and hatred. It did not take much imagination to know what he was talking about, so I will not go into details for the readers. I was sneaky like the lioness. I was telling him good to eat, and I ate it first. I gave him the worst part of the root, and he ate it. The boy's stomach was hurting, and it didn't take long for him to die. He was out of his body and looking at himself. I have been wasted by the white man, and the white man's God. He saw that they were trying to help the padre, but he knew there was nothing they could do, and he would die. He smiled. I've done right by my mother. I asked what he was going to do now that he was out of the body. I will dance. I dance for those that cry and weep, and I will dance till they come home, my family. I want these men to leave, but I will dance till they come home. They took them all and left me with the padre because he liked me, but now I can go anywhere. I am free. I am free. You're free from that, and even though you killed yourself and killed him, you feel it was for a good reason. Yes, I needed to stop him from hurting other people and making us kneel to his cross. He was powerful. He was a god in his own mind, and those around him bent only to his words. His words. And now they do not have their disgusting god. I then had Julie drift away from the scene, leaving the boy there to continue on his journey, and I called forth the SC and asked why it had chosen that life for her to look at.
Out of love for community, sacrifices are often made when least expected, even from the young.
Because it was a rather violent life, wasn't it?
Only that portion. The rest was good. There's much to be said about sacrifices and community and love. She has always had a depth of love. Love is that ultimate love she talks of.
But even though in that life she killed, you think it was through love?
No. He felt if he killed him, it would stop others from being gathered from other villages, once this powerful man was gone.
Because this man of God would no longer be there.
Yes, but he didn't stop it. Too many people. They just replaced the one that they lost.
He did what he thought was the right thing to do.
Yes.
He might have helped some people by doing that.
Yes.
What does that have to do with Julie's life now?
Sometimes she thinks she's always sacrificing to help others, and she does. Anyone who requires her attention and needs sacrifice, she'll give it. It's not healthy for her. She needs to take time for herself and to heal her pain, her self-inflicted pain, just like taking the root.
Does the way she killed herself have any significance in her life now?
Only that it is poison now to take and ingest what she takes and ingests. Medical doctors think they are helping her. They try. They are not helping Julie.
So you think the things they are giving her are not good for her?
Yes. And by thinking that she is doing the right thing, she's killing herself.
Again, you mean?
Yes.
We don't want that because in this life it's not the lesson to be learned, is it?
No.
She learned that lesson already.
Yes.
In this life, she has work to be done. She will help many people.
Many.
So we don't want her to poison herself again.
No. She only helped a few in that life, but now she can help many. If she just doesn't take the poison.
Which are the things you don't want her to take?
The neuro pain medication they give her, and the regular pain medication with the Tylenol. Bad. And the prescription medication with Tylenol. The Tylenol is killing this body. It is affecting her liver and her kidneys. The Tylenol is killing her. She needs to stop. Even when she has a headache, use Reiki, and it can make her headaches go away.
Can you flush the medicine she's already taken from her body?
Yes, I can.
Is there any other medicine she's taking that you don't want her to take?
Yes. What her psychiatrist gives her is not necessary.
The antidepressants?
Yes. I want her to wean off of it. Completely stop. Do not use.
By weaning off, you want her to do it gradually?
No. Stop.
Will this cause an effect on the body if she just stops taking it? We don't want to harm the body anymore.
She may feel extreme mood swings if she completely stops. She can choose either way. The best way would be to completely stop, but it may be too difficult emotionally to completely stop. But it will only take about a week.
I didn't think that would be very long to get all of this out of her system. So she may notice mood swings in that time period, but she'll know where it's coming from.
Yes, and she will balance out.
We want her to be balanced. Is there anything else you want her to stop taking?
Her attention deficit medication. There's nothing wrong with her mind. She's very, very aware of herself.
I have found that many times when the client is taking several different types of medication, that they interact with each other and often produce unwanted effects. I mentioned that the doctors were talking about operating on her liver. This always upsets the SC because it doesn't like surgery. It said the liver would recover if she stopped the Tylenol and other pain medications.
No operation. No operations necessary.
I asked the SC to go into the body, to the liver area, and make some repairs. Julie was scheduled to have an MRI when she returned home. I thought if the doctors did their tests and then saw there wasn't anything wrong, they wouldn't want to operate.
No, they will not.
You know how doctors are with their machines.
Yes, they're proof positive for them.
The SC said it was already working on the liver, and I asked what it was doing. I am always curious to know how it is done. When the SC works, it gets quiet, so I like to keep it talking to me so I can know the progress. It has told me in the past that I can talk to it as it works.
Pressure on the inside of the liver is building and pushing. I am rotating around it with energy that heals. Her body has been building up the energy while we speak so that I can do this.
When she goes back to the doctor and he takes the pictures, will they notice that something is different?
Oh, yes.
Of course, they won't understand it, will they?
No. But she will have a very keen, funny way of letting them know. Her body is very hot from the amount of energy. I needed it to build up so that we can do this. It never ceases to amaze us.
So it's healing the damage that the Tylenol did?
Yes.
They were even talking about taking the liver out and putting another one in, a transplant.
And she said that made her liver quiver.
This showed that the liver has an awareness and consciousness of its own. It reacted at the thought of being removed from the body. It didn't like the idea. That's the only solution they have, just to operate.
Yes, to mutilate the body. This body has been through so much. It's been mutilated enough.
We don't want to let them mutilate it anymore, do we?
No, she doesn't need it. She's a stubborn one.
I asked if it could look at other parts of her body that she was having problems with, the lower back in particular. It said,
Of course I can.
I asked for the cause of that problem.
Honestly?
Yes.
Her past. Yet, unfortunately, she slipped and fell in life and in spirit.
While it worked on the body, I asked if there was anyone in that lifetime that she knew now in her present life. It said the little brother was James, a good friend in this lifetime. Of course, I wondered if the Padre was anyone she knew. It confirmed what I was thinking, that the Padre was her grandfather in this life. During our interview, Julie confided in me that her grandfather had molested her as a child. Apparently, they had made a contract to be together again, in different roles, so that he could repay what he had done to the young boy. But it seems as though he still had not learned that lesson, and had carried that sexual problem forward. Instead of repaying, he had accumulated more debt. I asked the SC about karma.
She's completed hers in the past. This man has a lot of karma, and he repeated himself again. It's his problem, not hers.
Julie doesn't need to have any part of that anymore. You said she worked her part out.
Very much so. She loved him.
So in a case like that, murder and suicide are not considered negative?
Not in a case like that. It seemed to be the only answer to a young 14-year-old boy. Things were pivotal for her at 14 also.